All right, now let's move on to the next sort of sending limit, and let's talk about the scenario where we maybe want to start sending to 500 contacts per day. Now we start to enter this sort of interesting case where we actually can't really send through Gmail or whoever our inbox providers mail server directly anymore. In this case, let's just keep it in the frame of Gmail because I think it's going to make the use case kind of simple. Once you start to get to, and again, it's not hardly defined. It's going to depend on your daily volumes in general and your sender reputation, a whole bunch of things that Gmail isn't going to want to share with you. But around the 500 per day contact point, Gmail is going to start actually suspending your account if you're exceeding that and sending more emails in a single day. And that's obviously a huge problem. If you do it once, they usually just suspend you and you get access to your account again. And it's really not that big of a deal. But if you continue to do this, they can, suspend you for a week, or they can even actually kick you off of your email on the whole. And that's obviously a huge, huge problem. So how do we get around this? We still need to send our emails, and we need to engage with more potential users or customers. The good thing is some of the tools that we already talked about, GMass being one of them, integrate directly with third-party SMTP providers. So what we mean here is we're actually going to go to a different provider to actually handle the sending of our emails. And there's two big ones that I like, and they're pretty well known in the industry. And there's a whole bunch of different folks out there. If you just Google SMTP provider, you'll find some. But some that integrate directly with GMass that I'm a fan of are Sendgrid, as well as Mailgun. So let's quickly take a look at Sendgrid here. This is our Sendgrid setup. You can come in here and look at pricing. If you're sending only 500 or so, maybe 1,000 a day, it's going to be pretty cheap. This is going to cost you more than tens of dollars per month. And what's going to happen here is you're actually going to be pulled into a mail server pool that you're sharing with, Sendgrid and other users of Sendgrid. And what's good about this is these are IPs that have been sending emails before, that have a decent reputation. Although you don't totally know what it is, there's other people using it. It's going to be pretty decent. It's not going to be as great as the reputation of the Gmail mail servers that you were sending from previously, but it's going to allow you to break through this limit here. So that's an important next step in terms of hitting this sort of 500 per day mark. An important piece here to remember, if you're only sending 500 a day, definitely don't go with the dedicated IP route. If you're under 3,000 a day, that's generally too low of a volume to be sending from your own dedicated IP. We'll touch on that in a future session, but I just wanted to quickly highlight Sendgrid as well as Mailgun as tools that you can use to integrate with GMass and potentially Apollo to break through that 500 per day limit that's probably imposed on you by Gmail. All right, now we're going to quickly walk through at a high level how we can integrate our shared mail server into GMass. And for this example, we've got Mailgun pulled up here. Really simple. They make it really, really easy to do. Only really three things you're going to need. You just need your SMTP hostname, which in this case is smtp.mailgun.org. You're going to want to go ahead and plug that in here as your server. You're going to want to come back over here. You want to get the port number. They're recommending we use 587. We're going to plug that in here under GMass. And just to highlight how I got here, we go into settings in GMass. You're going to want to go down to SMTP server, plug in that server name, plug in the port number. So we'll plug in 587. And then for API key, you're going to need that after you enter your sort of email sender here. You're going to put that in as your username. And that API key you can get in here under, if we go over to sending, we go to, how do we lose this? Oh, and we go over to API keys here. Yeah, and we'll just go ahead and we'll plug in that private key directly here. It's under this API security settings. If you go to account/security/API keys, you're just going to go ahead and plug that in as your password. You click save. And then the really important thing, make sure you're actually sending from this dedicated pool. You need to tick, there's a setting within GMass. This is like very thoroughly documented. Tick it to make sure that it's enabled to send through your dedicated IP and through your SMTP server as opposed through Google servers. And once you do that and you start sending, if you go into your dashboard here within Mailgun, you should start to see sending populating within this dashboard. So that's a good way. Send yourself a couple test emails, send them to known senders or folks within your own sort of corporate domain, and make sure that they're populating in this screen here. The other big thing to do here, once you've got this integrated and set up, we actually need to, now we're going back to tutorial video 1 here, we need to essentially stamp ourselves through DKIM and SPF to make sure that we have the right authentication settings set up for this new sender association. So they do make this really easy for you, both Mailgun and Sendgrid. If you come in here and you go to domain settings under the sendings tab, just domain settings there. I think my face might be blocking it, but you'll see this create DKIM authority. So you can just click create here. It's going to give you a new DKIM record. They've got really robust tutorial on this. I'm just kind of calling it out. Make sure that you're still setting up your SPF and DKIM directly for Mailgun and your new SMTP server on top of what you've done already in your Google association. So this is a completely new record. You're not deleting the old one, but you've got a new SPF and DKIM record that are associating your essentially domain with this new SMTP server.